September 2024. Firefly's Alpha booster explodes at their Texas facility during routine testing. Flight 7? Delayed indefinitely. Their sixth launch, just 4 months earlier, failed when the upper stage nozzle detached mid-flight. 4 failures out of 6 missions total. By every measure, this looks catastrophic. Yet somehow this struggling company has launched 6 times, landed on the moon, and secured $176 million in NASA contracts, while Blue Origin, funded with billions from Bezos since 2000, hasn't completed a single orbital flight. Let's dive right in. The explosion at Firefly's Briggs facility wasn't during launch. It was during routine ground testing. The first stage booster for Alpha Flight 7 was destroyed completely. But here's the critical detail everyone overlooks. All safety protocols functioned perfectly. 0 injuries. The system caught the failure before it became a tragedy. This marks Firefly's 5th major setback since 2021. Just 4 months earlier, in April 2025, Flight 6's upper stage engine nozzle detached mid-flight, killing thrust and sending the payload into the Pacific. 4 failures out of 6 total launches, a 33% success rate. In most industries, that's catastrophic. In aerospace, it's usually fatal for the company. Yet Firefly isn't just surviving, they're accelerating. Understanding Firefly requires understanding their origin. This company literally died once already. They filed for bankruptcy and had to rebuild from scratch. Most aerospace startups don't survive that kind of collapse. The talent leaves, investors vanish, contracts disappear. But when Firefly restarted, they operated with something their competitors lacked. Desperation fueled urgency. No time for endless development cycles. No budget for perfectionism. Launch, learn, fix, repeat. Their Alpha rocket costs $15 million per launch, aggressively priced for the booming small to medium satellite market. Low Earth orbit, sun-synchronous orbits, exactly where demand is exploding. Even with the failures, customers keep booking flights. The math works. Then February 2025 changed everything. While their rockets were failing in orbit, their Blue Ghost lander touched down on the moon. Not a NASA mission, not government-led, the first fully commercial lunar landing in human history. One moment, Firefly was a budget launcher with reliability problems. The next, they were a deep space company. NASA immediately took notice, awarding them a $176 million contract for a future lunar South Pole mission. Map that timeline. Bankruptcy, restart, 4 failed launches, successful moon landing, $176 million NASA contract. Most companies would be dead twice over. Firefly just kept moving forward. Now contrast that with Blue Origin. Founded in 2000, 5 years before SpaceX even existed. Jeff Bezos has publicly stated he sells about $1 billion in Amazon stock annually to fund the company. Over 25 years, that's $20 billion plus in pure billionaire capital. No investors to please, no quarterly earnings pressure. Just unlimited resources focused on one goal: spaceflight. What does Blue Origin have to show for it? New Shepard launches tourists on 10-minute suborbital flights. Bezos himself flew. It's reusable, it's safe, it's impressive engineering, but it doesn't reach orbit. It doesn't deploy satellites. It doesn't service space stations. It's a vertical amusement park ride that touches the edge of space before falling back down. New Glenn, their orbital rocket, was announced in 2012. First flight was promised within a few years. As of 2025, it has never flown, not once. 13 years of development, billions invested, 0 orbital missions completed. Here's the number that should haunt Blue Origin. While they've spent 25 years and $20 billion plus achieving 0 orbital launches, Firefly went bankrupt, restarted, launched 6 times despite failures, landed on the moon, and secured major NASA contracts. Blue Origin has 0 satellite deployments, 0 space station missions, 0 operational orbital revenue. After a quarter century, in 2010, NASA needed to replace the space shuttle. America was paying Russia $80+ million per seat on Soyuz, completely dependent on a foreign power for space access. The Commercial Crew Program would fix that by funding private companies to build spacecraft. The money distribution tells you everything about NASA's assumptions. SpaceX received $396 million. Blue Origin got $25.7 million. Boeing, the safe bet, with decades of aerospace experience, received $4.8 billion, more than 12 times SpaceX's funding. SpaceX delivered. May 2020, Crew Dragon successfully flew astronauts to the ISS. Since then, they've flown regular crew rotations, commercial missions, and even space tourists. Dragon became America's primary human spaceflight vehicle, but the launch cadence reveals something even more remarkable. 2023, 98 orbital missions. 2024, 134 launches, over 50% of all global orbital launches that year. 2025, tracking toward 128-plus missions. That's 37% growth year over year. SpaceX didn't just build a spacecraft, they industrialized space access entirely. Blue Origin delivered nothing orbital. Despite early NASA funding, they focused exclusively on New Shepard's suborbital tourism. What was supposed to be a stepping stone became their entire business for over a decade. 0 astronauts in orbit, 0 ISS capability, 0 operational systems for NASA's actual needs. Boeing delivered disaster. Starliner was supposed to fly crews by 2017. Instead, 2019. First test flight fails due to software errors, never reaches ISS. 2022. Second attempt barely succeeds after valve problems. June 2024. First crewed mission finally launches with astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. That last mission was supposed to last 8 days. Multiple thruster failures and helium leaks made NASA declare Starliner too dangerous to bring the crew home. Both astronauts stayed on ISS for 6 months, stranded, until SpaceX's Crew Dragon could retrieve them in February 2025. Boeing burned an additional $1.5 billion of their own money beyond NASA's $4.8 billion. Starliner still hasn't completed a single successful crew rotation. Total cost, over $6 billion for a spacecraft that stranded its first crew. Here's what should shock you. NASA hasn't canceled Boeing's contract. Despite the failures, cost overruns, and stranded astronauts, Boeing remains funded to continue Starliner development. The explanation is simple but ugly. Boeing spent over $13 million on lobbying in 2023 alone. Across 2 decades, hundreds of millions have gone toward influencing Congress and federal agencies. They're not just a contractor, they're one of the most politically connected corporations in America. In that world, failure doesn't end contracts, it extends them. More problems require more funding to fix those problems. Incompetence becomes a renewable resource. SpaceX, $396 million. Delivered on time, under budget, perfect safety record, dozens of crewed flights. Boeing, $4.8 billion. Missed every deadline. Stranded astronauts still being paid. Blue Origin, $25.7 million. Pivoted to tourism. 0 orbital capability after 25 years. The space industry has split into competing philosophies. Move fast and accept failures as data, or move slow and eliminate all risk before flying. Ironically, the eliminate all risk approach produces the worst outcomes. Boeing's obsession with process over results stranded humans in space. Blue Origin's pursuit of perfection has resulted in 25 years without a single orbital mission. Firefly operates in permanent crisis mode. Their 33% success rate would destroy an established company. But Firefly isn't established. They're the aerospace equivalent of a startup running on fumes and determination. Every explosion reveals a fixable weakness. Every failure generates data for the next attempt. Blue Origin's New Glenn sits untested in a hangar, increasingly irrelevant. You can't learn from failures if you never launch. You can't iterate if you never fly. Meanwhile, Firefly blows up rockets on the ground and lands spacecraft on the moon. They've launched 6 times, failed 4 times, succeeded twice, and secured $176 million in future contracts. Blue Origin has launched 0 times into orbit across 25 years and $20 billion plus. Boeing stranded its first crew in space. The question isn't whether Firefly's approach is risky. The question is, compared to what? Compared to Blue Origin's decade of inaction? Compared to Boeing's billions spent on failure? Firefly's explosion in Texas looks less like a disaster and more like the cost of doing business in an industry where standing still is the only unforgivable sin. This is exactly why money doesn't guarantee success in space. Execution does. Blue Origin, $20 billion, 25 years, 0 orbital flights. Boeing, $6 billion spent, astronauts stranded. Firefly, bankruptcy, explosions, moon landing, $176 million in contracts. The difference? Firefly keeps launching while others keep planning. This matters beyond corporate drama. NASA's Artemis program, future Mars missions, deep space exploration, all depend on commercial partners who can deliver, not just promise. The space race now rewards speed and iteration over caution and perfection. What's next? New Glenn may finally fly in late 2025. Starliner faces make-or-break tests. Firefly's rebuilding for Flight 7 while preparing more lunar missions. The next 12 months will determine which companies lead humanity's expansion into space. Here's my question. Do you think Blue Origin can recover, or has SpaceX and companies like Firefly already won? Drop your prediction in the comments. This is Space Hub. We bring you the real story behind space breakthroughs. If you want analysis that cuts through the hype, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Like this video if Firefly's story surprised you. The space industry moves fast. Stay informed with us.